I hadn't expected to see Greta's face staring back at me from my brother's Instagram post, but there she was, the woman who'd nearly destroyed my best friend's life 10 years ago, now wearing an engagement ring and clutching my brother's arm like she'd won the lottery. Which, knowing Guillermo's trust fund, she probably had. My name is Presley, and I've spent most of my life being the forgettable O'Brien sibling. While Guillermo commanded every room he entered, I preferred the quiet comfort of my writing desk and the stories I could control. But seeing Greta's face changed everything. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Sonia said, peering over my shoulder at my phone screen. We were sitting in our hometown's only decent coffee shop, where I'd stopped before my scheduled talk at the literary festival. Because if anyone can help me prove who Greta really is, it's him. I found his number in my contacts. I'm not letting her do to my brother what she did to those girls in college. "Be careful, Press," Sonia warned. "You're playing with fire." "Maybe it's time I did," I replied, pressing the call button. I've spent my whole life in Guillermo's shadow, watching from the sidelines, but not this time. This time, I'm going to protect him, whether he likes it or not. As the phone rang, I watched Guillermo's Tesla disappear around the corner. My brother might be the family golden child, but I was the one who wrote mysteries for a living, and Greta had just given me the perfect story to unravel. Samson arrived at my hotel room 2 hours before the family dinner, laptop under one arm and a stack of papers under the other. His familiar scent of coffee and cologne filled the room as he spread the documents across my bed. "You weren't kidding," he said, pulling up old newspaper articles on his laptop. "Your future sister-in-law has quite the history." I sat beside him, scanning the headlines. "What did you find?" 6 different names in the past 12 years, always the same pattern. She gets close to wealthy families, gains their trust, then disappears with significant amounts of money. He pointed to a grainy surveillance photo. "This is her in Miami, 2015. Different hair, different name, same person." Sonia paced the room, biting her thumbnail. "But how did she avoid getting caught?" "She's smart," Samson replied. "Never stays in one place long enough, always has an exit strategy. The families she targets are usually too embarrassed to press charges. But here's where it gets interesting." He pulled up a social media profile. "Look who her brother is." "Winston," I breathed, recognizing the man in the photo. "He's some big-shot lawyer in Chicago now." "Exactly. Every time she gets into trouble, Big Brother swoops in with legal threats and NDAs. The victims back off, and she starts fresh somewhere else." My phone buzzed. Another text from Guillermo. "Where are you? Everyone's waiting." "I have to go," I said, standing up. "The family dinner." Samson caught my arm. "Presley, wait, there's more. I found something about her connection to your college. Tell me later. I can't be late for this." I grabbed my purse, then turned back. "Thank you, Samson, for helping me." His eyes softened. "Just be careful tonight. Don't let on that you know anything." "I'm a better actor than my brother thinks," I replied, heading for the door. Lorenzo's was packed when I arrived, my family occupying the large round table in the back. Guillermo held court at the center, Greta by his side, looking perfectly at home among the crystal glasses and fine china. "Finally," Guillermo said as I sat down, "we were about to order without you." "Sorry, got caught up in book stuff." I forced a smile, watching Greta sip her wine. "So, tell us how you two met." "Oh, it's such a funny story," Greta gushed. "I literally ran into him at a charity gala in Boston." "Boston?" I interrupted. "I thought you were based in Chicago with your brother." A flash of something. Surprise. Worry. Crossed Greta's face before she recovered. "Oh, I travel a lot for work. My lifestyle blog takes me everywhere." My phone vibrated. A text from Samson. "Check your email. Found proof of her connection to the college scandal. It's worse than we thought." "Presley," my mother chided. "Phone's away at dinner." I slipped the phone into my lap, pretending to adjust my napkin while I opened my email. The subject line made my heart stop. Greta Campbell, former identity, Sarah Mitchell. Sarah Mitchell. The name hit me like a punch to the gut. Not just any scammer, she was the one who'd driven my college roommate to attempt suicide after blackmailing her family into bankruptcy. "Are you okay, Presley?" Greta asked, her voice dripping with false concern. "You look pale." I looked up to find her watching me intently. She knew. She had to know I'd recognized her. "I'm fine," I lied, raising my wine glass. "Just excited about the wedding. When is it again?" 3 weeks, Guillermo answered proudly. "Small ceremony, just family and close friends." "And your brother," I said to Greta. "Winston, right? Will he be giving you away?" She set down her fork carefully. "How did you know about Winston?" "Worse," I replied, zooming in on Greta's perfectly composed smile. "Remember that woman from college? The one who blackmailed half the sorority and disappeared with their parents' investment money?" Sonia's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. "No way, that's not—" "It is. And she's engaged to my brother." "Oh, I must have seen him mentioned on your blog," I said smoothly. "You write about family a lot, don't you?" The tension at the table was palpable now. My cousin Alexis, always hungry for drama, leaned forward slightly. "Actually," Greta said, her voice tight, "I keep my family life quite private." My phone buzzed again. Another text from Samson. "Don't confront her yet. Winston's in town. He's dangerous." But I was done playing nice. "That's interesting," I said, setting down my glass. "Because I could swear I've seen you somewhere before. Maybe at college. Though you went by a different name then." The color drained from Greta's face. Guillermo looked between us, confusion clouding his features. "What are you talking about, Presley?" Before I could answer, the restaurant door burst open. A tall man in an expensive suit strode toward our table, his face like thunder. "Winston, sorry I'm late," he announced, placing a protective hand on Greta's shoulder. "Traffic was terrible from the airport." His eyes locked with mine, cold and threatening. "I hope I haven't missed anything important." Winston's arrival changed the entire atmosphere of the dinner. Where Greta played the charming ingenue, her brother radiated cold authority. He pulled up a chair between Greta and me, effectively creating a barrier. "So, Presley," Winston said, unfolding his napkin with deliberate precision, "Greta tells me you're a writer. Crime novels, is it?" "Mysteries," I corrected. "I find people's secrets fascinating." "Everyone has secrets," he replied smoothly. "The wise know when to leave them buried." My phone buzzed again. Samson had sent another message. "Found the smoking gun. Old bank records. Meet me ASAP." "Excuse me," I said, standing. "I need to use the restroom." As I walked away, I heard Winston say something about joining me for a smoke. I wasn't surprised when he cornered me in the hallway near the bathrooms. "Let's cut to the chase," he said, his voice low but menacing. "Whatever you think you know about my sister, forget it. Like how she destroyed lives at Brighton University, or how she's done it 5 times since then." His expression didn't change, but his eyes hardened. "Those are dangerous accusations without proof." "I have proof," I bluffed, thinking of Samson's message. "And if anything happens to me, it goes public." Winston smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You know what's interesting about your family, Presley? How your father's investment firm managed to stay afloat during the 2008 crash. Almost like magic." My blood ran cold. "What are you implying?" "Everyone has secrets," he repeated. "Even perfect big brother Guillermo. Would be a shame if certain financial irregularities came to light." Before I could respond, my phone rang. Samson's ringtone. Winston glanced at the screen. "Ah, the journalist. Your attack dog?" He straightened his tie. "Be careful who you trust, Presley. Some stories are better left untold." He walked away, leaving me shaking in the hallway. I answered Samson's call. "Where are you?" he asked without preamble. "You need to see this." "I can't leave yet. Winston's here." "Winston, get out of there, now." "What did you find?" "Not over the phone. Meet me at your hotel. And Presley, don't let them know you're leaving." I returned to the table, grabbed my purse. "I'm sorry, but I have a migraine coming on." I should go. Already? Guillermo frowned. You've barely touched your food. Let her go, Greta said sweetly. We wouldn't want her to feel worse. The drive to the hotel took 10 minutes, but it felt like hours. Samson was waiting in the lobby, pacing. Look at this, he said as soon as we reached my room. He pulled up documents on his laptop. Remember your college roommate, Kate, the one who attempted suicide? How could I forget? Her family lost everything because of Sarah, because of Greta. It wasn't just a scam, Samson said. It was orchestrated. Look who was on the board of the investment firm that handled the money. I leaned in, reading the name. My hand started shaking. My father? That's impossible. Your father's firm handled all the investments. Winston provided the legal coverage. They've been working together for years. The room seemed to spin. Are you saying my family was involved? I'm saying it goes deeper than Greta. She's just the front person. The real operation is bigger. A knock at the door made us both jump. Samson closed the laptop as I approached the door cautiously. Who is it? Alexis. Let me in, Presley. I know what you're doing. The barista glanced our way as Sonia's voice rose. I pulled her closer, lowering my voice. She's going by Greta now. Back then, she had a different name, different hair, but those eyes. I'd never forget those eyes. My phone buzzed, a text from Guillermo. Speaking of the golden child, I muttered, opening the message. In town for your little book thing. Family dinner tonight at Lorenzo's. 7 p.m., don't be late. I opened the door to find my cousin looking uncharacteristically serious. I followed you, she said, stepping inside. And I want to help. Why should we trust you? Samson asked. Alexis pulled out her phone, showing us a video. Because I have this, from tonight, Winston threatening you in the hallway. And, she swiped to another video. This is from last week. Greta meeting with your father at his office. My head was spinning. Why would you help me? Because they ruined my family too, Alexis said quietly. 3 years ago. Different name, same scam. I didn't realize it was her until I saw her with Guillermo. Samson's laptop pinged with a new email. His face went pale as he read it. What? I asked. What is it? It's from an anonymous source, he said. Bank records, dates, names, everything we need to expose them. He looked up at me. But Presley, if we do this, your family will never forgive me, I finished. But if we don't, Guillermo will be next. My phone lit up with a text from Greta. Coffee tomorrow. Just us girls. We should talk. I showed it to Samson and Alexis. It's a trap, Samson said immediately. Of course it is, I replied, typing my response. But I'm done running from her. Tell me everything you found. I'm going to that coffee meeting armed with the truth. The coffee shop was busy when I arrived the next morning, but Greta had already claimed a quiet corner table. She wore a cream-colored blazer that probably cost more than my monthly rent, her engagement ring catching the sunlight. I took the liberty of ordering for you, she said as I sat down. Vanilla latte, right? How thoughtful. I placed my phone on the table, recording app running silently. So, what did you want to talk about? Let's be direct, Greta said, stirring her espresso. You've been digging into my past. I want you to stop. Or what? You'll do to my brother what you did to Kate. Her smile didn't waver. Kate made her own choices, just like your father did. By helping you steal from innocent families, by protecting his investments. Your father's not as clean as you think, Presley. Neither is Guillermo. She leaned forward. Did you ever wonder how your brother afforded that Tesla? Those designer suits? The down payment on his house? My coffee arrived, but I didn't touch it. What are you saying? I'm saying your brother's been handling certain financial arrangements for your father. Off-the-books transactions, you might say. He's very good at it. You're lying. Am I? She pulled out her phone, showed me a document. These are transfer records from your brother's private account. Notice the patterns. The same amounts every month to offshore accounts. My hands clenched under the table. Why are you showing me this? Because you need to understand what you're risking. Push this and everyone falls. Your father, Guillermo, even that cute journalist friend of yours. Leave Samson out of this. Oh, we know all about Samson. His gambling debts from college, the story he buried about a certain senator's son. Would be a shame if those came to light. That's your play, blackmail? That's always been my play, Presley. I'm just better at it than most. She took a sip of her espresso. But it doesn't have to be this way. Back off, and everyone stays happy. I'll even make sure Guillermo takes care of you financially. Like you took care of Kate. Something dark flashed in her eyes. Kate was weak. She couldn't handle the pressure. But you're different, aren't you? You're a survivor. My phone buzzed. A text from Alexis. Winston just went into your father's office. Something's happening. Think about it, Greta continued. You could have everything you've ever wanted. No more struggling writer's life. No more living in Guillermo's shadow. I stood up, grabbing my phone. You don't know what I want, don't I? You want validation, recognition, to prove you're more than just the forgotten sister. She smiled coldly. I'm offering you a chance to be part of something bigger. You're offering me a chance to be complicit in fraud. I'm offering you protection, because trust me, you'll need it after what's about to happen. What's that supposed to mean? Ask your father. Better hurry. Winston can be quite persuasive in negotiations. Sonia read the text and rolled her eyes. Your little book thing, being a national bestseller tour. That's Guillermo for you, always minimizing my achievements while maximizing his own. I typed a quick, I'll be there, response, my hands shaking slightly. Are you going to tell him? Sonia asked. I rushed out of the coffee shop, calling Samson as I ran to my car. Where are you? I demanded. Outside your father's office. Alexis is here too. You need to see this. Don't let them leave. I'm on my way. The drive to my father's office took 15 minutes. I found Samson and Alexis hiding behind a newspaper in the lobby. They're still up there, Alexis whispered, but look who just arrived. Through the glass doors, I watched Guillermo stride into the building, looking agitated. He doesn't know, I realized. He thinks he's been helping Dad with legitimate business. What do we do? Samson asked. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Greta. Last chance, Presley. Walk away or watch your whole family burn. I showed them the message. She's bluffing, Alexis said. No, I replied, watching Guillermo disappear into the elevator. She's warning me. Whatever's happening up there, it's big. Samson touched my arm. We have enough evidence to go to the authorities. And destroy my family in the process? I shook my head. There has to be another way. There is, Alexis said suddenly. Look what I just found. She showed us her phone. An email thread between Winston and my father, discussing an upcoming meeting with their biggest investor. The engagement party, I realized. Everyone will be there. All the players in one room. It's too risky, Samson protested. It's perfect, I said, watching the elevator numbers climb. They think they have me cornered, but they don't know what we know. At the party, we're going to expose everything. And Guillermo? I thought of my brother upstairs, walking into a trap he didn't even see coming. We save him first, then we burn it all down. The engagement party was set for tomorrow night at the Grand Plaza Hotel, but I couldn't wait that long to warn Guillermo. I found him at his favorite bar, nursing a whiskey, looking more disheveled than I'd ever seen him. Rough meeting? I asked, sliding onto the stool next to him. He barely looked up. Not now, Presley. We need to talk about Greta. Don't start, he snapped. I'm not in the mood for your paranoid theories. I pulled out my phone, showing him the documents Samson had compiled. These aren't theories. Look at the bank transfers you've been processing for Dad. Look where the money's going. His hand trembled as he took the phone. These are confidential business dealings. They're fraud, Guillermo, and you're being set up to take the fall. He drained his glass. You don't know what you're talking about. I know about Kate from college. I know about the other families. I know about Winston's role in all of this. I leaned closer. And I know Dad's been using you to clean dirty money. Shut up, he hissed, but his face had gone pale. Today's meeting, what did Winston want? Guillermo's shoulders slumped. He said there were irregularities in the accounts, that I needed to sign some papers to protect Dad's interests. Did you sign them? His silence was answer enough. Jesus, Guillermo. I grabbed his arm. Those papers probably made you legally responsible for everything. Why would Dad do this to me? Because you're the golden child, the successful son, the perfect fall guy. I showed him more documents. Look at the pattern. Every time Greta and Winston pull this scam, they need a respected figure to take the blame. His hands were shaking now. I trusted them. I loved her. I know. That's why they chose you. I pulled out one final document, the email thread Alexis had found. Tomorrow night at the party, they're meeting with their biggest investor. After that, they'll disappear, and you'll be left holding the bag. How do you know all this? Because I'm the screw-up sister who writes mystery novels, the one nobody takes seriously. I managed a small smile. Turns out that makes me pretty good at uncovering secrets. My phone buzzed, Samson calling. What's wrong? Winston's on the move, he said. He just left your father's office with a briefcase. Alexis is tailing him. Keep following him. I'm with Guillermo. Is he in? I looked at my brother, saw the anger replacing his shock. Are you in? I asked him. Guillermo straightened his tie, a familiar determination crossing his face. What's the plan? We're going to crash your engagement party, I said. But first, we need to make a stop. Would he believe me? The overlooked little sister trying to ruin his perfect engagement. I laughed bitterly. You know how it goes in my family. Guillermo can do no wrong, and I'm just the quirky writer who never lived up to her potential. An hour later, we pulled up outside Greta's apartment building. Guillermo used his key to let us in. She keeps everything in her home office, he said, but it's always locked. I pulled out a small case. Good thing I researched lockpicking for my last book. The office door opened with a soft click. Inside, filing cabinets lined one wall. Guillermo went straight to her desk while I tackled the cabinets. Found something, he said, holding up a USB drive. It was taped under her drawer. My phone buzzed again, Alexis this time. Winston just went into a safety deposit box at First National. He's moving everything out. They're getting ready to run, I realized. The party's just a cover. Guillermo was scrolling through the USB files on Greta's laptop. Presley, look at this. Account numbers, transfer records, everything. Dad's signature, my signature. Copy it all, I said, still searching the cabinets. Behind a false back, I found what I was looking for, a stack of passports, each with Greta's photo but different names. Suddenly, keys jingled in the front door. Hide, I whispered, shoving the passports into my bag. We barely made it into the walk-in closet before Greta entered the office. Through the slats, we watched her go straight to the desk. Looking for this? Winston's voice came from the doorway, holding up a USB drive identical to the one in Guillermo's pocket. Everything ready for tomorrow? Greta asked. All set. Once the investor signs, we'll have access to the accounts. Guillermo's signatures make it all legal. And if his sister causes trouble? She won't, Winston said confidently. Not after what happens at the party. Beside me, Guillermo tensed. I grabbed his arm, keeping him still. Poor Presley, Greta laughed softly. She thinks she's so clever. Wait until she realizes she's played right into our hands. They left, closing the office door behind them. As their footsteps faded, Guillermo turned to me. What did he mean, after what happens at the party? I pulled out my phone, texting Samson. Change of plans. They're planning something for tomorrow. We need to move faster. Presley, Guillermo pressed, what are we going to do? We're going to beat them at their own game, I said. But first, we need to get out of here alive. The Grand Plaza Hotel ballroom glittered with champagne glasses and false smiles. I adjusted my hidden microphone, scanning the room. Samson was positioned near the bar, pretending to be a photographer. Alexis mingled with guests, her phone ready to record. And Guillermo stood beside Greta, playing the role of devoted fiancé one last time. The investor just arrived, Sampson's voice crackled in my earpiece. Back entrance. I watched Winston escort an elderly man through the crowd. That's not just any investor, I whispered. That's Judge Marcus from the federal court. A judge? Alexis's voice joined the conversation. Why would they? Because he can make investigations disappear, Guillermo muttered, pretending to sip his champagne. Dad used to golf with him. Greta clinked her glass, calling for attention. Thank you all for coming tonight. Before we begin the celebrations, my brother has a special announcement. Winston stepped forward, Judge Marcus at his side. As many of you know, I've been handling the legal aspects of a major investment fund. Tonight, we're proud to announce a new partnership. My father beamed from his seat, obviously expecting good news. He had no idea what was coming. Guillermo, Winston continued, would you join us? Bring those papers I gave you earlier. This was it. I nodded to Sampson, who moved closer with his camera. Guillermo walked forward, envelope in hand, but instead of giving it to Winston, he turned to face the crowd. I do have something to share, he said, his voice steady. But it's not what you're expecting. Greta's smile faltered. Winston stepped forward, but I was faster. Ladies and gentlemen, I called out, moving to stand beside my brother. You might want to hear this. It's quite a story. Presley, my father warned, this isn't the time. Actually, it's exactly the time. I pulled out my phone, connecting it to the room's speaker system. Let's hear what Greta, or should I say Sarah, or maybe Jessica, has to say about it. The coffee shop door chimed, and I froze. Guillermo walked in, Greta at his side. She looked exactly like her photos, elegant, polished, and completely different from the woman I remembered from college. But then she saw me, and for a split second, her mask slipped. Presley, Guillermo boomed, drawing every eye in the cafe. I thought we'd find you here, still addicted to their vanilla lattes. I stood, accepting his brief, formal hug. Guillermo, what a surprise. The recording from the coffee shop played clearly through the speakers. Greta's voice filled the room. Kate made her own choices, just like your father did, the crowd murmured. Judge Marcus frowned. Turn that off, Winston demanded, reaching for my phone. Keep recording, I told Sampson. This is where it gets good. Guillermo opened his envelope, pulling out documents. These are records of every fraudulent transaction, every family you've destroyed, every life you've ruined, including yours, Dad, I added, watching my father's face drain of color. They were setting you up too. You and Guillermo both. Greta laughed, but it sounded hollow. You have no proof. Actually, Alexa stepped forward, her phone displaying emails. We have everything, including your conversation about framing Guillermo for all of it. Winston moved suddenly, grabbing my arm. That's enough. Take your hands off my sister, Guillermo growled, shoving him back. The room erupted in chaos. Guests started whispering. Phones came out, and Judge Marcus backed away from Winston like he carried a disease. It's over, I told Greta. The police are already on their way. And guess what? Your brother's safety deposit box? Empty. He cleared it out yesterday. Greta's composed facade cracked. She spun to face Winston. You promised. Shut up, he hissed. But it was too late. He was going to leave you behind too, I said. That's what you do, isn't it? Leave people behind to take the fall. Sirens wailed in the distance. Winston made a break for the door, but Sampson and 2 hotel security guards blocked his path. You stupid little girl, Greta spat at me. You have no idea what you've done. Actually, I do. I turned to the crowd. I wrote this story before, all about a brilliant con artist who got too confident. Want to know how it ends? The police burst through the doors. Detective Rivera, who I'd briefed earlier, headed straight for Winston and Greta. Winston and Greta, you're under arrest for fraud, extortion, and conspiracy, she announced, pulling out handcuffs. As they were led away, my father collapsed into his chair. Guillermo, I never meant... Save it, Guillermo cut him off. We'll talk about this later. With lawyers, guests were already rushing to post on social media, the scandal spreading in real time. Alexis looked pleased with herself as she hit send on her own post. "Well," Sampson said, joining me with 2 champagne glasses, "that's one way to break up an engagement." I took a glass, watching as Detective Rivera led the siblings away. "Think they'll talk?" "Winston already did," Sampson grinned. "Turned on Greta the moment we showed him proof she was planning to betray him. Apparently, even partner criminals have trust issues." Guillermo wrapped an arm around my shoulders. "I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner." "You believed me when it counted." I raised my glass. "To the forgotten sister?" "No," he corrected, clinking his glass against mine. "To the sister who saved us all." Through the window, I watched the police cars pull away, taking with them the people who'd thought they could outsmart everyone. Turns out, they should have paid more attention to the quiet one who wrote mysteries for a living. The aftermath hit like a tsunami. By morning, every news outlet in the city had picked up the story. I sat in Detective Rivera's office, watching the headlines scroll across her computer screen. "Socialite scammer and lawyer brother arrested at engagement party," she read. "Prominent family implicated in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme." "How bad is it?" I asked. "For them?" "Very." She pulled out a thick file. "Winston's singing like a canary. Apparently he's been keeping records of everything. Insurance against Greta double-crossing him. And my father, limited immunity in exchange for testimony." She gave me a sympathetic look. "He'll avoid jail time, but his career is over." My phone buzzed. Guillermo calling for the 5th time today. I let it go to voicemail. "You should talk to him," Detective Rivera said. "He's been cooperative. His statement helped us track down 3 other victims." "I will, just not yet." A knock at the door interrupted us. Sampson poked his head in. "Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. This is Greta, my fiancée," he said proudly. "Greta, my little sister Presley. She writes those mystery novels." Greta extended her hand, her grip firm and cold. "Lovely to meet you, Presley. I've heard so much about you." "Funny," I replied, holding her gaze. "I feel like I know you too." A flicker of uncertainty crossed her face, but she recovered quickly. "Oh, have you read my lifestyle blog?" "Something like that." He handed me his tablet. On the screen was a video. Greta in her holding cell, speaking directly to the camera. "You think you've won, Presley?" Her perfect makeup was gone, but her eyes still burned with malice. "You have no idea what's coming. Ask your precious brother about the offshore accounts. Ask him about Dubai. This isn't over." Detective Rivera frowned. "How did this get out?" "It was posted on a burner account," Sampson explained. "Went viral in minutes." "She's bluffing," I said, but uncertainty gnawed at my stomach. "Maybe not." Rivera pulled up some files on her computer. "We found some transactions we can't trace. Large sums moving through accounts in Dubai, Singapore, Panama." My phone buzzed again. Alexis this time. "Turn on the news. Now." Rivera switched on the office TV. A reporter stood outside our family's investment firm. "Breaking news. Federal agents have raided the offices of O'Brien Investments following allegations of international money laundering. Sources say the investigation extends to several prominent clients, including—" I stopped listening as familiar names scrolled across the screen. Clients, friends, people I'd known my whole life. She didn't just target our family, I realized. She used our firm to target everyone we knew. "The damage control team is already working on it," Sampson said. "But—" The office door burst open. Guillermo stood there, looking wrecked. "We have a problem, a big one." "Bigger than international money laundering?" I asked. "Kate's dead." The room went silent. "What?" I whispered. "They found her this morning. Apparent suicide." He ran a hand through his hair. "But there was a note. She named names, Presley, including mine. Detective Rivera was already on her phone." "I need everything we have on Kate's case from 10 years ago, and get me the detective handling her death." "This isn't a coincidence," Sampson said. The timing. Of course it's not, I cut in. Greta's making sure we go down with her. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Should have taken the deal. Now everyone pays. Can you trace this? I asked Rivera. She shook her head. Burner phone, but we can. Another text. Check your email. I pulled up my inbox. There it was. An email with dozens of attachments. Bank statements, contracts, photos. Everything connecting our family to years of financial crimes. She's had this the whole time, Guillermo said, reading over my shoulder. She was never going to let us win. No, I said, standing up. She's desperate. This is her last play. What are you thinking? Sampson asked. I'm thinking it's time to write the ending to this story. I turned to Rivera. How fast can you get me in to see her? It's not advisable. She wants to talk to me. That's why she's doing this. One final confrontation. Guillermo grabbed my arm. It's too dangerous. More dangerous than letting her destroy what's left of our family. I pulled up Kate's old photo on my phone. She's already taken one life. I won't let her take any more. Rivera studied me for a long moment, then nodded. I'll set it up, but you wear a wire, and we end it the moment things go south. Deal. I turned to Sampson. I need you to get everything you can on those Dubai accounts. There's something we're missing. What about me? Guillermo asked. You need to talk to Dad. Find out exactly how deep this goes. I squeezed his hand. We're going to fix this, but we need the whole truth. As everyone dispersed to their tasks, I stared at Greta's booking photo on Rivera's desk. She smiled at the camera, still playing the role of sophisticated socialite even in handcuffs. Game on, I muttered. Let's see who's really better at telling stories. The holding cell was cold and sterile, but Greta somehow managed to make even the orange jumpsuit look elegant. She smiled as I sat across from her, the reinforced glass between us like a shield. I knew you'd come, she said, picking up the phone. Couldn't resist one last chapter, could you? Kate's death wasn't a suicide, I said. Was it? Straight to the point. That's what I like about you, Presley. She leaned forward. But you're asking the wrong question. Fine. Why Dubai? Her smile widened. Now you're getting warmer. Did you know your brother visited Dubai 3 times last year? Ask him what's in safety deposit box 2147. Stop playing games, Greta. Guillermo, oblivious to the tension, checked his watch. We can't stay. Meeting with the wedding planner. But we'll see you tonight at Lorenzo's. The whole family's coming to celebrate our engagement. Wouldn't miss it, I said, watching as Greta's perfectly manicured hand clutched my brother's arm possessively. After they left, Sonia grabbed my arm. That was intense. What are you going to do? But that's what I do best. Just like you with your little mysteries. She tapped her fingers on the desk. Tell me, how does it feel knowing your big exposé ruined hundreds of lives? All those innocent clients, their savings gone. You did that, not me. Did I? Who pushed the story public? Who couldn't leave well enough alone? She laughed softly. Face it, you're just like me, using other people's secrets for your own gain. The door behind me opened. Detective Rivera stepped in, holding a file. Interview's over, she said. We found Winston. Greta's composure cracked, just slightly. What do you mean, found him? In Dubai, I said, watching her face. With the contents of safety deposit box 2147. Turns out he wasn't as loyal as you thought. You're lying. I pulled out my phone, showed her the photo Sampson had just sent. Winston in handcuffs, Dubai police leading him away from a private jet. He made a deal, Rivera said. Told us everything. About Kate, about the offshore accounts, about your real identity. He also told us about the insurance policy, I added. The one you kept in case he betrayed you. Guess what? We found that too. Greta's hands were shaking now. You don't understand. Those people, they deserved. Save it for court, Rivera cut in. We have enough to put you away for life. My phone buzzed. Guillermo calling. This time I answered. Dad talked, he said without preamble. showed me everything. We can make it right, Presley. Return the money, help the victims. How touching, Greta interrupted, her voice carrying through the phone. The prodigal son makes amends. Actually, I said, he already has. While you were in here playing mind games, Guillermo's been working with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Every account, every transaction, every victim, they're all getting their money back. Impossible. The Dubai accounts were frozen an hour ago. I stood up. It's over, Greta. No more stories, no more schemes, no more victims. You think this is over? She pressed her hand against the glass. I'll write my own ending. Just wait. No, I cut her off. You won't. Because unlike you, I know how to write a satisfying finale. I nodded to Rivera, who handed me another file. Inside were statements from every person Greta and Winston had ever conned, including Kate's last testimony, recorded before her death. See, a good story needs justice, I said, laying out the papers. It needs redemption, and most importantly, it needs the truth to come out. Greta's mask finally shattered completely. She lunged at the glass, but guards were already moving in. Take her back to her cell, Rivera ordered. Her arraignment's in an hour. Outside the holding area, Guillermo waited with Samson and Alexis. How'd it go? Samson asked. Just like we planned. I handed Rivera my wire. Got everything you need? She nodded. Her reaction to Winston's arrest is the last piece we needed. No jury will sympathize with her now. What about Dad? Alexis asked. He's meeting with federal prosecutors, Guillermo said, making arrangements to reimburse every client. It'll bankrupt him, but it's right, I finished. My phone lit up with notifications. The story was breaking again. This time, though, it was different. Financial crime ring busted. Victims to receive full restitution. You did it, Samson said softly. You got justice for Kate. We did it, I corrected, looking at my unlikely team, all of us. Guillermo pulled me into a hug. I'm sorry I ever doubted you, little sister. You can make it up to me by helping rebuild the firm. The right way this time. Together, he agreed. I watched through the window as Guillermo helped Greta into his Tesla, the same way he'd done for countless girlfriends before. But this time was different. This time, I knew something he didn't. I need to make a call, I said, pulling out my phone. Remember Samson, the investigative journalist who helped with research for my last book? The cute one who clearly has a crush on you? Yeah, why? As we walked out of the police station, reporters swarmed, shouting questions. But I didn't need to answer them. The truth was already out there, and for once, the story had the perfect ending, not because the villain was caught, but because justice prevailed, families healed, and the forgotten sister finally found her voice. Ready to go home? Guillermo asked. I looked at my brother, at our makeshift family of truth seekers, and smiled. Yeah, I think I am.